Hello my friends, time for another candy review, and I have a special guest with me today. Old Crocodilio! Here he is. He's going to hang out in my pocket. Maybe he'll get a bite of one of these treats. Alright, we're going to have a thorough look at Hawaiian Punch fruit snacks. So let's begin with packaging notes. So we've got the, well, this I don't think is the classic character. Did they have a classic character? I don't know, they've updated him and made him look almost like a claymation digital surfer dude. And the treats are just flying around in the air. They're not given the respect that they deserve. The presentation's pretty bad here. Although I do like the palm tree arching up over the name. They should have put these fronds over the name. That would have been even better. And then, I mean, it's a good idea overall, but the implementation's a little bit too silly for me. Alright, and on the back we have just some various info, but I will note the ingredients list. Let's see. It's mostly a pear and apple fruit juice blend. And then all the basics that we're used to. Alright. Moving forward, we're going to crack open the bag and we're going to see how we feel about the visual presentation. Looks like they're going to be molded. All my notes are a little mixed up, so we're going to combine this with the aromatics portion. Alright, let's get a good smell first. Strong, pronounced middle band. Powerful swirling combination of fruits. I haven't had fruit snacks in a long time, so this is pretty appealing to me. There's a bit of a sparkling blast of sweetness floating on a steady undercurrent of raw juice and fruit. A touch of plasticine, sort of fakeness in there. But mostly around the edges. This is just your straightforward fruit snack smell, and to me, at the moment, it's pretty good. Alright. Visually, we have a subdued palette of colors, and they are indeed shaped into, well, we'll find out. Pineapples. Let's get a close look at this pineapple. Looks pretty good. Identifiable. And for another example, this is a mountain, I believe, with a crater on top. So that is very unique. They get style points for that easily. Is there a mountain on the front? If that is indeed what it is, they should have put, well, I don't know. It's going to be a little hard to ID this. We're going to call it a mountain. This one, after a quick look at the front of the bag, seems to be a palm tree. Although I would have called it like a Mayan iconography, stonework relief. Yeah. Alright, and here's the big puzzler on these blue ones. What could they be? Rocket chips? Sharks? Sea life? Who knows? Alright, I'm going to dump these back in the bag so we can have a look together at these. So there's the guy. See, what is that? Yeah, I don't know. This rocket ship. We'll just call it a rocket ship. Alright. Anyway, the subdued palette looks pretty good. heavy on the yellows. Yeah, bag. Well, no, it's okay. It's balanced. So what's this strange business? Always on the lookout for manufacturing defects and errors. So it's just a little slice of darker color. It's malleable, so it must be some residual dye or something. But we're going to avoid that one anyway. Alright, so let's move on into the taste profile. Right. We want one of each. It does seem that shapes aren't mixed around with the flavors, so you don't have one shape being several flavors or vice versa. Alright. I do believe I have one of each here. So now, the manufacturer isn't really listing any recommended order to eat them in. So we're just going to go clockwise from top left and begin with the palm tree. Here we go. Alright, it's lime, but this is one of the falsest limes I think I've ever tasted. There's a middling amount of sticking to the chops. I mean, it's not hanging on there, but it's sticking to the chops. I'm having to go after it with my tongue. Lime and lemon are easy flavors to reproduce and make them taste passable. So they messed up their citrusy lime flavor in a puzzling show. Now I've got a hunk of it right here on you. So, bad marks for sticking to the chops, but they're not advertising this as a gummy treat. It is a fruit snack. There's no acidity there that you would expect from a citrus. The aftertaste is off. It's not really plasticine. The aftertaste is more, it's just this muddy, indeterminate blech. And now my palate is coated with a sour flavor. It's pretty good way to describe it. It's got a it didn't have that acidity I was looking for, but now it has this mouth puckering sourness that's really mild, and it's mixed with a chemically taste. So low marks, and it's still stuck on our teeth. All right, low marks. Moving on around the clock face, we're going to go with the guy. So also very poor die construction. So that's not the guy. That's just some muddy. That's just some messy, smashed horror movie representation of the guy. But this is going to be the fruit juicy red flavor. It must be. So let's see if this is going to take me back. I need to cleanse my palate again. I tried the fruit juicy red drink about 2 years ago, and I was really disappointed in the way that it had aged, or they'd moved to lower quality ingredients or something. Okay, what we're hoping for is a perfect marriage of different red fruits. Alright, masticating timidly. It's coming together in a dance of sorts, but overall really bland. The carrier agent doesn't have a pronounced presence. Sometimes you can tell that the carrier is really all you're getting. So the carrier was struck through with that old school fruit juicy red flavor. But overall it was mild, and it never reached up into being a full bore assault on the taste buds. And in fact, I'm pretty let down by it. Although it had an okay mix of red fruit flavors with a tinge of cherry flavor. I'm probably taking the 4. All right. So, moving around the clock face, orange. What could this be? I bet it's a pile of like mangoes or something. Nope, it's orange. Middle of the road, bland, stereotypical fake orange flavor. Nothing to write home about. Although ending with some tartness, it ended better than it started, because there was almost a touch of rindiness in there. So the best one so far, although it still was based in just sort of an artificiality that we're all accustomed to when we drink orange soda pop that's artificially flavored and all that. So, points for going for the rindiness. And my palate now is left with, it's a little bit dry now, so it's got a puckering sensation, but at least it didn't end on a chemically nasty taste. All right, moving on to pineapple. All right. Haribo famously has a pineapple. White Bear. And this is comparable. I mean, it's good. It's ending on a it's fizzling out. Not to say that it ended poorly, but the flavor overall was good, although it also suffered from being a little undermotivated. These flavors aren't coming through and punching. The flavors are just drifting lazily under the it's not even like there's a base flavor that's dominating. It's just that they're anemically limping into the picture. They're not doing any bombast. There's no show here. When the flavors are okay, they're okay, but they just limp in. Point your rocket ship right in my heart. All right. Okay. Well, this to me is almost a mix of blue fruits. I could have sworn I was getting a touch of blueberry in there, but it does happen to be just a regular blue raspberry. However, in this case, I have to give it to them. Usually blue raspberry is my least favorite when it's when it shows up in a bag of treats, because they push this fake flavor right up to the threshold. And here, it's seriously benefited from staying there and drifting in that undercurrent, keeping the flavor mild and although robust. So, I mean, they may have mastered the fake blue raspberry flavor. That uncertainty that was in there would not come about with most blue raspberry treats, because you're just hit with that fake flavor. You know what it's going to be like. It's always exactly the same. But here, since the flavor at large was so subtle, my palate was trying to pick out, like, where are the different flavors. And when they came into play, it was it was understated. But in this case, that was a really good thing. So I'm really looking forward to the madness of mastication phase of the review. But before we get to that, I'm going to give one more surfboard a try. I think I figured out what they are. Alright. Complete dedication to this trial. Alright. Rubbing it all over my teeth line and my chops. Okay, it's yielding up. Its flavor. Alright. Well, I have to say, they landed it. And it's probably the best blue raspberry flavored candy treat I've had. If only because it's so understated. And even with that treat, the flavor was bolting in from different directions. At first it started with just that generic taste, and I thought, oh, I was wrong. But then that quickly faded, I mean, in the space of a couple of seconds, and then I was hit with another juicy flavor that was far better, which I wish would have been the main flavor. But anyway, so we've got a mixed bag here. We have a mix of low quality, chemically tastes, mediocre tastes that are passable. You do have the fruit juicy red, which was overall a balanced blend of red fruit tastes. And then, I mean, just middle of the road, but some highs, some lows, averaging to about normal. So, the madness of mastication, period, has arrived. Alright. Just give it a little shake. Oh, we forgot to give Crocodilio a taste. Get your nose in there, big. Crocodilio. Ooh, which one do you like the most? Okay. Should we go for it? Oh, I don't know. 3 oranges and 2 blues. No reds. Try that again. This is the first ever reroll. 3 reds and 2 oranges. No. How about doing a completely orchestrated one of each? Only because this one was so high and low, I am going to do this. Alright, this is a first. I mean, normally in the madness of mastication phase, I would do a seriously random, evaluation. But I want to see how this balance of flavors combines. So let's go. Fury. Okay. Alright. So it's not hitting my senses powerfully. It's not coming through with anything more than a mid-grade presence. They didn't mesh spectacularly. I just wound up with a blah base carrier taste with a stab here and there of something more nuanced, especially that red one. The red one's pretty well done. Alright, now we do have an actual random array. Alright, that's it. Just trying to squeeze anything of value out of this is a challenge. Although individually there were highs and lows, this is one of the few treats where the serious snacking mastication blast is less than the sum of its parts. But when some of the parts were so anemic, well, anyway. Low marks. Stay away. It just didn't push through for me. Thanks for watching.